Are you ready?
Hello and welcome to Do the Right Thing, a weekly writing prompt podcast. I'm Jarvis.
And I'm Matthias.
Both of us love to tell stories, but we know that sometimes it can be difficult to just sit down and write.
So we're doing a challenge. Every week we sit down for 30 minutes and write a complete short story. Our challenge is that we have to base the story around 3 randomly generated words.
Then we read these stories, talk about them, and talk about what we've learned from the experience overall. We finish off by talking about the stories written by you listeners.
We're just here to help you do the right thing. What the hell was that, Jarvis?
We switched it up.
You're wrestling the creative control away from me, Jarvis.
I'm wrestling you, Jarvis.
What? This week we are joined by our guest Brittney Deer.
Yes. Hello.
After a even longer hiatus than even Sterling, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
So Sterling was on recently. I think the episode before last. And Brittney, I think our very first episode that we released, your story was on that episode, and then you were actually on the second episode.
Yes, I was on the second one.
Which means that's technically our third episode.
Because there's a secret lost episode. That just wasn't very good.
No, it was pretty bad. It was just us. We both had really bad stories.
I mean, it wasn't that bad. It's just that, like, we were figuring out the format. And if you're going to start a podcast, do that. Always throw away your first episode.
No matter what it is.
There's a great lecture, seminar, speech thing by 2 of the McElroy brothers titled, Please Learn from Our Podcasting Fuck-Ups. And in it, they say, throw away your first episode immediately because it's always going to be bad because you just don't know what you're recording.
Yeah,
until
and also
you do
it just takes time to like get the jive down.
Yeah, exactly.
Figure out what's going on. Figure out how the other person likes to talk.
So, Brittney, you should probably introduce yourself. I'm sorry that
No, you're fine. We're looking between y'all. Well, my name is Brittney Deer. I write with the pen name Brittney Christina.
Because you're incognito.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And also, it's because when I was young, I freaked out and was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get married one day and have to change my last name, which means I'll have to, re-edit all my books. So I just decided to go with my first and middle name instead.
Is that what happens?
Yeah, that's what happened. Middle school me got really nervous about that. But I kind of like the flow of Brittney Christina. It sounds a little, I don't know, it's like, anyways. I am the author of 2 novels. I am self-published. The novels are Forsaken and 50 Days.
I should probably read them as your friend after having known you for
They're
more than
really
a year.
good. They're really good. Yeah.
I believe you. I mean, I've really enjoyed writing.
I hope so.
Aw, thank you.
So I expect that I would enjoy those.
Yeah, but I actually have not, I'm going to be honest, I haven't really actually sat down and written anything in a year. Besides this, of course.
Do the right
Besides Do the Right Thing. I have done
last
this.
week, and it just timing worked out that you weren't able to come on.
Yes.
It's really unfortunate.
My mom urged me to stay home and go to the Labor Day party. So,
okay.
yeah.
That's a fine reason. Well, we had already rescheduled anyway, so it's not our fault.
Yeah.
It's half our fault as well. So
It's all our fault.
it was still a good episode. So.
Yeah, it was
and
pretty
I will
fire.
listen to it.
Yeah.
I honestly, though, don't know what happened last week.
That happens a lot. I feel like I'm really, really bad at tracking time. I feel like if a policeman was like, what were you doing 3 nights ago? And I'd be like, was that in December? Was it?
I was probably right here 3 nights ago.
Yeah, I really time's hard to keep track of. Anyway, how was doing the right thing for you, Brittney, this week?
It was actually really good. It always kind of starts off with me staring at a blank page for about 5 minutes, thinking to myself, what am I going to write?
Do you have the timer going at that time?
Yes, and I look at the timer and it stresses me out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, now I only have 25 minutes to write. So, but I just started writing, and what I do is I just kind of write a sentence, an average, I saw her, or I was afraid, or something like that to kind of put the character in the scene, and then I go, and that's what I did. And I ended up writing a really sad story.
That's what I like to hear.
Okay. And you, I notice in meat space, because all your listeners, you guys are in cyberspace. We are in cyberspace at this time, but in meat space, in physical space, where our human forms, our meat bodies exist, you are holding a journal with writing in it. Mm-hmm. So I assume that you wrote it by hand rather than with a telecommunications device.
Exactly. Well, I will admit that it was partially because my laptop takes a long time to boot up, and I was kind of wanting to just do a journal.
So you're like, I'm fuck waiting for this.
Yeah, well, I will say, though, that there's something about handwriting in a journal that makes it more personal. I feel like whenever I write it on my laptop, I feel obligated to post it somewhere, so I'll normally, upload it to my blog, which I have, which is really good. Or, I post it somewhere, I take a picture and, send it to someone, but my handwriting is so bad, I can't do that. Right. I can't take a picture and send it to someone because no one else...
You gotta transcribe it.
Yeah. Okay. So, I just feel like when you're, writing by hand, it's a lot more of just, it's like journaling, having a diary. Yeah. It's more of, this is, your story. So, I don't know. I kind of, sometimes when, I really don't know what to write, I'll open my journal instead.
I feel like it's definitely a different experience. This is something that was talked about on So-Called Writers. I'm basically going to echo that discussion. But just the speed of writing itself, just that itself is a big factor of difference. Mm-hmm. On a laptop, you can write much faster than you can think, right? So for most people, they write a sentence and then they pause and they think of the next sentence and then they write that one. But when you're writing, you're thinking way faster than you're writing.
Yeah.
And someone else in the comments this week talked about the same thing. About how their hand hurt by the end because they were handwriting it, and so you're thinking a lot faster, which means that the stuff that you do write is probably more thought out, right? Mm-hmm. Texting for me is somewhere in the middle. I do feel that writing also has some other effects, just the fact that you're when you take notes for class, writing physically by hand sears it into your memory a lot more than writing a laptop
because there's a motion that is attached to them. That's just how our brains naturally learn.
And then typing is kind of just your subconscious just going at it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have a lot of trouble typing and listening at the same time.
Me too. That's why I don't do. Yeah, I don't do it.
So I don't know how people do it. Maybe other people don't have the same problem as me. But writing it by hand. Mm-hmm. As I'm listening, it's just intuitive, and I can listen and write at the same time.
See, it's odd, because I have the exact opposite effect. Okay. When I'm typing, because I don't know if I've ever said this, but I do most of my writing on the computer. Because what I like to do is look up words, make sure that I'm spelling them right, because I'm really bad at spelling. But also, I like to just look up synonyms, certain words, just to, I don't know, kind of just kind of fill out some of the sentences that I put down. But I do find that since I do most of my writing on my laptop or on my phone, I can typically do that in many other things. Versus if it's actually writing it down on paper, it takes a lot more mental strength for me to actually do that because I have really bad handwriting. I want it to be kind of legible.
Yeah, that's preferable. Tangent. I feel like we should be more allowed to make up words now. Shakespeare made up words all the time. I mean, it was Shakespeare, so he gets kind of a free pass. But there's so many times that I the best use of a thesaurus for me is not don't just look for big words to spice up your writing just by itself. I really think that's kind of a straw man. I think probably only people writing for the first time will do that. Mm-hmm. And it's more than valid to go look up new words because you want to expand your vocabulary.
But you shouldn't do it simply because you sound smarter.
For the sake of itself.
I actually have a story, not to interrupt, but this happened to me. So this is to back Matthias up. Don't look up big words and use them for your writing because I was actually writing a novel and I was trying to come up with a title. Mm-hmm. And I forgot what it was. But I didn't for the title, but I forgot what the story was. But I was looking for something that had to do with I don't know, I was looking for another word for paladin because paladin is really associated with I don't know, World of Warcraft and D&D and type stuff. I didn't want it to be it wasn't a fantasy, but I did call these people paladins. So I was looking up other words for warriors, and the word custodian came up, which I guess is another word for in this thesaurus.
Someone who takes care of
something,
a servant. Okay.
Yes, but I was 11. I was really young, And so when I read it, I didn't even pronounce it as custodian. I pronounced it as custodan.
Okay.
I don't know why. So I thought it was like custodan in disguise or something. And I'm like, that sounds so cool. And so I brought it to school because my friends, I had like writer friends, we would like trade binders and like read each other's work. Cool. But I brought it to school and my friends are like, custodian and disguise. It's just about a janitor.
It's a secret janitor.
Okay, but I would love to read that book about a
secret custodian.
A secret janitor.
We need to reclaim the space of janitors. They do good work.
They do.
They do really underappreciated work.
I mean, like, without them, do you know how horrible everything would smell?
Yeah.
Nothing would smell like pines.
So going back a bit to what I was talking about, the best use of a thesaurus, I think, is when you're just searching for something with the right connotation. I think most people who are searching thesauruses are probably like that, but it's like, I want something like victory, but I don't want it to mean victory the same way.
Something similar.
Like conquering is a different connotation for victory. Anyway.
Well, I mean, like, really, I feel that when it does come, like, I think the best thing you could possibly do as a writer is just take a whole day, just look through a thesaurus, a dictionary, just look for words that you really enjoy to like use a whole bunch and find out new ways on how to either use those words or like other words like that.
Learn the differences.
Yeah, exactly. Because the best thing you could possibly have is a wide vocabulary.
Yeah. So going back a bit, I do wish that we could be allowed to invent more words because there's a lot of stuff that like there is no proper connotation definition for. I don't have any off the top of my head, but there's definitely been times where it's like, I want a word that means this, but not that, you know?
There's a phrase that we actually say, I'm forgetting what it is now, but I always want to use it in my writing and I can't because it like, doesn't actually exist. It's just a phrase that we say out loud, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So then I forgot what it is.
There's
is it like
shorthand
phrases? Or?
Yeah, it's like shorthand. It's kind of like, what is it? Like wouldn't, but it's not wouldn't. It's like to
shall not.
Wasn't. Ain't.
It's like gonna
yanked.
Yanked.
I'm forgetting what it was. It'll come back to me. But there's one phrase that we say out loud all the time as human beings who speak English, but like it's not an actual word.
Sure.
So I feel like I don't know. There's more than one of those, and it's kind of annoying. I wish I could just write it into be a word.
Well, I mean,
there's websites where you can search for synonym phrases, basically. So you can find those if you
well, I mean, like when it comes to your writing, at least I found that you do have that freedom because I definitely use words that aren't really words, but they're like a different tense of a word that doesn't have that tense.
Well, what I'm wondering is the like in fantasy and stuff like that, you're definitely allowed to, right?
Yes.
Because you're going to come up with stuff that just don't exist in our world. But I'm wondering like how much stuff that does exist in our world can you make up a word? Like, how can you get away with that, right? Coming up with a new word for a feeling and just having enough connotation that people, like...
That'd be so cool.
That would be cool, but that would take, putting down what this feeling is, and then you have to apply a like new word to it, and then you have to do enough work to where the audience will can
tell what it is without knowing the word from before, because it didn't exist before.
They'll make that connection.
I'm going to keep it in mind. I'm not going to specifically try to do it next episode or something like that.
You're definitely
but if I can't find a word, I'm going to maybe make it up.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, listen, words are just a collection of strange symbols that makes a sound.
Are a social construct.
I love words, actually. That sounds so strange.
Words are beautiful,
I don't know, I feel like people like make fun of the English language, but I love it. I love all the weird, just random words. Like, I think the other day I was on like dictionary.com on like the word of the day, and it was like daffing. That's not that a word? Yeah, and it was like foolishness. I'm like, I love that. Like,
you daft fool.
Oh, like, oh, how daffing of you. Like, I don't know, I like the way it sounds.
That's interesting.
Recently, I've really liked the word dearth.
Dearth? Like a lack of? DERTH?
DUFF.
DUFF.
DURFF, I think.
Dearth. Okay, I hadn't heard. So not a dearth.
No, and dearthing is this thing that they sometimes do in the Mormon community where
okay,
since you can't have sex before marriage, yes, it's soaking, just basically soaking.
I've never heard of that.
You know what soaking is? So you just like get on, right? You put it in and then that's it.
I'm going to bleep out the whole section, even though you barely described anything at all. We gotta. We gotta move on.
All right, guys, we have to move on to the next section.
So hey, let's get into the actual proper podcast now that we've had our English runaway
for 20 minutes.
Our, the Do the Right Thing classic. So this week's words were very, page, warm, and rustic. I didn't have to look at anything to remember that. I'm actually starting to remember the words.
Matthias is lying. He looked at a piece of paper.
We're going. I think I would like to transition to we just talk about our own use of the words when we get to our section of the words.
So maybe now we should only talk about the experience of it.
Yeah, we already kind of did, I think.
Yeah. Well, at least with yours.
With me. Yeah.
And so what we're going to do now is we're going to go through each of us and talk about each other's stories. So it's going to be Jarvis, then me, then Brittney, and then followed by listener stories. Before we get to the section, I think we should talk about the community just a little bit.
All right. Hi, community.
Yeah, I think
we're about to talk shit about you.
Behind your backs in meat space.
Yeah. Boy, why you wear those shoes today?
Nothing personal, kid.
Nothing personal, John.
That's a may, as they call it. Anyway, the community is really great. We see a lot of new people in the subreddit now,
and it's amazing to see new faces actually put out really great content. And I don't know, I find that nothing is better in my mind than that childish glow when you do something for the first time. You see a childish? Well, I mean,
emanating from the.
Well, yeah. When I read, it's like, oh, they're trying to figure out what's going on.
That seems really patronizing, Jarvis.
What? No, I'm saying it's a good thing.
Okay, yeah, no, it is really nice seeing someone try it out for the first time.
I would hope that doing the right thing isn't the first time they've ever written anything. Well, how'd you get through grade school?
Okay, first time writing a story.
How would you get through grade school?
Yeah, you have to write stories.
All right. The first story I remember writing was about a Godzilla knockoff, and I read it in front of the class, and the best part about it was that I couldn't come up with a name for the Godzilla, so I just put insert name here, and so everyone laughed whenever I said insert name here, and it was fun.
See, I wish my first story was like that wholesome. My very first story, which I remember was 50 pages.
It was like anger therapy? What?
It was 50 pages.
Your first story ever was 50 pages.
How old were you?
I was like... Okay, granted, I used to draw really horrible comic books.
Great.
So I guess those would technically be like first story. My first like actual written story, I was like 12.
Okay.
And I called it Murder Hospital. And basically it was about this kid who broke his arm and had to go to a hospital.
And he killed everyone there.
No. But in the town there was this sect cultists, right?
Okay.
Who believed that the only way for their town to be saved from the apocalypse would be to murder a total of 500 people in one place. So they come to a hospital with knives just drawn, and it's basically this horror of this guy dodging throughout this like hospital trying to like get out as people are being murdered. And there's this one scene, this great scene that as a kid I was like, I'm so fucking cool, because he basically gets to the front exit, right? Uh-huh. But then it's blocked by a whole bunch of bodies. Because they put all of these bodies in this like front area so that people can't get out. So then there's a scene because two of the cultists are coming. Uh-huh. He tries to like climb it. He's getting covered in like blood and like bio shit, right?
Do you put a content warning at the beginning of this tangent?
I don't know, but what ends up happening is that they come, so he has to slip into the pile of bodies and wait there till the day comes.
So when did you write this?
I was 12.
You were 12,
yeah,
and you wrote a scene more horrifying than anything in The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
okay.
I was very proud.
He's smiling Jarvis is very pleased with himself right now.
I was very proud.
I don't know why you're pleased with yourself.
Well, okay, it was 50... Think of a 12-year-old just writing 50 pages of just smut.
That's not smut.
Not smut.
I really hope neither of those things.
Oh, God.
I really... So let's go into Jarvis's story.
And I'm just going to say, to add more light to this conversation, my first story was about a cat who was born with no tail.
Bring light into the story.
And she had no balance, and so everyone made fun of her. But then all of a sudden she was like, no, screw this. And she stood up on a stage in front of all the cats, and she said, I am proud to be me. And then they're all like, yay.
Aww,
and that was the end.
Sweet.
And I was like...
This is why...
I was like,
Brittney
5.
Was published.
Yeah.
Well, my first novel I wrote when I was 9. I didn't publish it or anything, but it was Warriors Cats by Aaron Hunter.
Yeah.
It was that, but snow leopards.
Oh, cool.
And it was about
That's
7. It was like
up.
a 70-page full journal.
Jesus. Damn. I don't understand how you kids can do that.
It's all I did for 2 years.
I think it's just time.
I remember
I had no time. I had all the time, and
Exactly.
I had very little friends, but I was okay with that.
I remember struggling in 8th grade to write a 15-page story. And it being a huge struggle. Like the whole year I could barely do it. So it's just interesting seeing. I mean, I still struggle. So
the struggle never leaves.
But now I have a podcast, so it looks like I'm actually doing stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, we really got to move on. I will talk about that more, but we got to move on. So Jarvis, which words did you use?
First and foremost, the title of my story this week is Murder Hospital. No, it's not.
So you brought it back and you just
I brought it back. I use berry. I use warm.
Okay. Rustic and Page.
And I used Rustic. I didn't use Page.
Okay.
Because that would
be too easy. You didn't take a page out of my book and write about Page?
I didn't take a page out of your book and write about Page.
I didn't use Rustic.
You don't use Rustic?
I didn't use Rustic.
Rustic is such a good word, to be honest.
It was hard to use.
It was hard to fit in there for me.
Well, I mean, Rustic, to me, in my mind, it's pointing towards a setting.
Yeah.
So I always use Rustic along with something else to kind of paint the, picture of what this place looks like without going into too much detail. So, for instance, I use Rustic Bar. You automatically know what that looks like. It's wood. Sure. There's a nice bar. There's just a board.
Doors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used Rustic. I think I'm going to take it out because I used it to describe something, but I didn't need it there.
Sure.
So I used all 4 of them, and I was like, I'm going to take it out.
Okay.
You didn't have to use 4, so you can just take it out.
Yeah, let's take it out.
In fact, you don't have to use any of them. You just can't be on the podcast, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What if someone just, used synonyms of all 4 words, but they're very obviously synonyms. You go with that, and I'm like, oh, that's almost... Wait a second. It's not. Anyway. So is there anything else we should know about your story before you start reading?
I guess not. I mean, it was a nice time writing it. Mm-hmm. This week has definitely been quite the busy one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mostly because, I guess, the beginning of last week, I changed majors.
Right.
Ooh, to what?
Creative writing.
Really?
Yeah. So now I'm going head first from media arts. So I'm doing more of what I love, which is great. I've just been spending a lot of time really just thinking over and learning as much as I possibly can about some of the topics that I went over in my creative writing class, how we're talking about point of view and then all that.
Yeah, the same professor I did last semester.
Oh, yeah. He's fun.
He's good.
He's a great guy. So initially with this, I was thinking, I'm going to use a third-person point of view. Because I don't really do that much. I don't know why.
You do it pretty well. No, you're kind of...
If you looked, I've never done it.
I just, a lot of the stories, I'm picturing it as third person for some reason, but it was actually first person.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But, so at first I was like, I'm going to do third person. And then I started writing, I was like, this is first person. So then I just kept with that.
That's funny.
And yeah, that's pretty much it on that.
Okay.
What words did you use, Matthias?
Well, what I wanted to do is, I'll say that when I get to my section. But I used all of them with Rustic.
Okay.
So Page Warman.
And me, same.
The other one.
So I guess I'm going to read now.
Yeah, you're going to read now. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then the story immediately just starts.
Oh, yeah.
There's a 2-second pause, and then it's on a dark and stormy night.
At first, when I wanted to start writing this, going back, I've been working on a anthology-esque series based off of the settings of Weekend City and the surrounding cities.
So is this another one of those?
It doesn't take place in Weekend at all.
Okay.
So it takes place in Waif, which is like the capital of it, right? So this is a story set outside of any of the other events. I just like, I guess, being in the world because it evokes a certain mood within me, and hopefully it comes across. But I know with this one it probably didn't. This is definitely like lower on the rung of things that I'm proud of, but all right, it's on there. Hello, my name is Jarvis Lister. I'm here.
You don't have to say your name every time, Jarvis.
Hello, my name is Jarvis Lister. I'm here to read a story to you. And the name of the story, I just came up with it. It is Hogan the Hero.
Is that intentional?
Yes.
For those not in the know, Hulk Hogan is a very famous wrestler.
Oh.
Very ridiculous wrestler.
I was not going there at all.
Oh, Hogan the Hero, Muscle Man,
Randy Savage
versus Hulk Hogan, the hero.
But no, time. But like Hulk Hogan came on the scene as a face, but then he went heel after
I don't know about wrestling terminology to know that.
and then went back to face. Face are the good guys because they're very pretty.
Like the guy that everyone hates.
John Cena?
Yeah, thank you. John Cena is a face by far.
People don't hate John Cena.
Yes, they do, because he's just so likable.
He's all-American.
He's a Captain America guy.
He believes in God and
he's
not same-sex marriage.
He's Fred's father.
What?
In the Fred movie. You know the short-lived
oh
YouTube
my
star
God.
Fred? Disney made a movie, and John Cena is his father in it.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I liked it as a kid.
I never watched it.
It was more of the same.
Oh,
content.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Fred was annoying.
Yeah.
It was,
when I was a kid, I liked it. Now I'm like...
When I was like 9.
It's like the lowest rung of comedy. It's like, oh, he has a high-pitched voice and yells.
It's for kids.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it doesn't mean that I can't watch it in my free time.
Okay, please start.
Okay.
You don't have to get so close to it, by the way.
Growing up, I always loved seeing Hogan Wise in anything. Not only was he a 6-time Oscar contender, but won for Best Actor and Screenwriter for The Last Woodsman, a revolutionary film about the rise and fall of the first and last labor union in Waif. As a kid, I would enter into every sweepstakes and chime in on any podcast I could for the chance to meet Hogan. Even into his older years when he reverted into a more behind the scenes guy, I worked day in, day out to nab a spot as a PA just to serve him coffee and get him 10 minutes before call. In the beginning, he'd give me his token smile when I brought him his favorite secret menu drink. Pat me on the back saying, "Good work, son," in his deep but smooth voice. Later, he'd go on to tell his personal experience as a PA, how he worked with all the greats and no one gave him a shot. But that through his abundance of busy work, he found his way in and quickly made a name for himself. As time passed, he warmed up to me, invited me to stay late after shoots to chat and smoke. Well, he smoked. I opted to drink the expensive shit in his cabinet as he reminisced and spilled the beans on every behind the scenes scandal that never saw the light of day. He recounted stories, events, and people as characters in a wider, more convoluted plot. He was the star in all of it, of course, but not a hero. He made certain that though he has and had everything, he wasn't blameless. Always screwed the pooch here and there and let his dick do too much of the thinking. Human. Those late night chats with my hero, Hogan, have always become a sense of a happy place, a reprieve from all the stress and dreams and stressing dreams. Every word he said just further solidified the image I had of him. And Adonis, no doubt, but someone who looked at the world through a lens I find all too familiar. We got close during then. Well, as close as work acquaintances can be. Even let me run to his house and feed his lizard. After production stopped, I saw him less and less, which was expected. Can't bring an inexperienced PA on his grandiose adventures to Rocky Mountains and rustic bars. I continued to work in the biz for a little after, before losing the drive and going into law enforcement like my father. Throughout the academy, I would hear and read stories about him. Hogan Wise, washed up? Hogan Wise walks off the set of Bury Me Dead 4 after disagreements with the director. What happened to the once brilliant movie star Hogan Wise? All the stories, written for buzz and clicks, further drew me from loving my childhood hero, and after a year, 2, 3, I forgot about the wise man I brought coffee to. So, to my surprise, and probably the world's shock, the old movie star became strung out in a den right outside of town. I saw him, amongst the dirt and broken glass, smiling as the third needle pulled him further from reality. There was recognition in his eyes, like an old friend you bumped into at a concert. His body was still warm, heartbeat faint. Some part of me looked for a reason throughout the cook shack. Has he been here all these years? Or just visiting the trap and got caught up? But all I was met with was the realization that this was just another adventure I wasn't a part of. In rehab, I visited him, per his request. Wanted to shake the hand of the hero that saved him. That warm, fulfilling feeling came back as I sat there and talked to him. Hogan was weak, dusty and dry, but still him. Still recounted the good old days as a Hollywood elite. He fell off a while ago. Since he was pigeonholed as an action comedy star, the biz was unfulfilling. More of a game of what flops are we making this week versus actually making the art he got in the industry for. The last thing he said to me was a joke. You know, my publicist offered the shit to me at first. A weight loss plan for Bury Me Dead 5. Doubt he knew the shit almost had me dead. He laughed. Yeah.
Okay. Really great story. I'll be honest, I'm still searching for, like, God, there's gotta be a better way of saying this. But the theme of the story, right?
Yeah.
I almost said the point, and that's not
no,
that's not a good way to put that.
No, that is very true. I didn't know what the point was when I started, because, I don't know, I had, like, 3 different ideas going into it.
But regardless, I really like this journey of this character and, like, the relationship that this, that the main character, or not really the main character, the point of view character, has with Hogan. What's his last name?
Hogan Wise.
Hogan Wise. And I feel like there's stuff to be explored there. I do like there's just a lot of character work in here. On Hogan specifically. Not so much on the main character, but that's okay.
Because Hogan is pretty much the main character.
No, he's the main character. I mean, this is a story that's a first-person minor character, right?
Yes.
Like The Great Gatsby, because it's told from Nick, whatever his last name.
No one cares.
Is it Carraway?
Yeah, I think it is Caraway.
Or maybe that's just...
Callaway.
No. Anyway,
Hollywood.
Nick tells a story, but it's really about Gatsby.
Gatsby, yeah.
Anyway, so one thing I wanted to talk about is that it almost doesn't really fit that much in the world of Weekend City.
Yeah.
It fits more in our world, is what I feel. Especially, well, one specific place that made me feel that way was the Hollywood elite. So that implies that there is a Hollywood in this.
There is a Hollywood.
There is a Hollywood.
Yeah.
So is Weekend City like a different alternate future America?
I mean, if we're going to talk about the whole plot, right? No, Weekend City is basically, I guess it is like an alt future, or it's a true future America. Do a real quick recap for listeners and have listeners before what Weekend City is. If you don't know what Weekend City is, it is a novel series.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it a novel yet?
I mean, that I've been working on.
It's a consistent setting.
It is a consistent setting that I've been writing in for 2 years, but I am working on a novel.
Okay, cool.
And a collection of shorter stories where basically the plot behind it is that there's this city that when you go into it, you can do anything. You have unlimited possibility of what you can be and what you can do. The only thing is that for it to be a quote unquote therapeutic experience, when you go in, they have to pump this solution into you named Blue. And
lose some details. Very shorter pitch.
Basically, when you go in, you temporarily forget why you were going in, and you just
become a citizen.
You just become a citizen.
So it's like Westworld, except you become a cowboy when you enter.
Exactly.
That's all you had to say.
Well, I haven't seen Westworld, so.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, I've always wanted to watch it, but I've never had Showtime.
I've only seen like half of the first season, though. I'll be honest, because I was watching it with my suite mates, my freshman year, and then we just got busy.
Okay.
So, anyway,
so Weekend City is just a cyberpunk noir.
It's a youth story. It's a very youth story.
Oh, thank you.
The main character's a detective, isn't it?
No, he's not a detective.
He's like the
he's the authority.
He's one of the Blade Runner protagonists, where they're like a policeman kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess so.
Anyway, so let's go back to your actual story.
Oh yeah, so I guess you said that it doesn't really fit into the world, but yeah, it doesn't fit into the stuff that I've written on thus far, because those have been very like noir detective, looking at the world and having a certain kind of thought. I kind of just want to see like, what would just a story could be within this world be, going on a more small scale than a larger scale. And yeah, people know of Hollywood. I feel that Hollywood is a thing that will never die. No,
I just mean that by the word Hollywood being in there, it implies that this is Earth.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
A distance.
Yeah.
Eons older. But
Brittney, what thoughts do you have about the story?
I thought the character development with Hogan, right?
Yes.
Hogan? Yeah, it was really good, and I liked how it was like told in a different point of view, and you can kind of see it. And I think I don't know, I feel like there's like been a lot of stuff coming out about like how celebrities' lives are actually terrible and horrible in several ways, and how like they're losing all their money. And it kind of shows you like he's like this like celebrity who's like confident, and then slowly he just kind of becomes this like wasted away guy who's like he's like still the same guy, but he's like just been like dying over the years.
Yeah.
Kind of like how when you see like the president before and after, and
yikes, rapid aging.
Yikes. So I did like that. I like how we got to see a different point of view. I agree with Matthias about like the theme or like the main plot. It was a story, but it was less of a story and more of a like this character. It was like a story. It was like a timeline almost of like a character.
As I've been thinking about it, it's more of a theme is starting to come out as I think about it.
What is that thing?
Well, it's basically don't uphold your heroes too much, or don't hold on to your heroes so hard when they might not be heroic. Yeah. Because Hogan Wise, like in the beginning, right? He seems all right. He seems to be doing okay. He's got some wise things. He admits that he's human, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing is that like him being human and him messing up doing a lot of fuck ups, right? Based on thinking through his dick or whatever, right? With his dick. Like the main character does not lose any hero worship for him at all. Like not even a little bit, right?
In a sense, I mean, the way that I was trying to do is that he somehow gains a little.
Yeah, gains it
by understanding that he's human,
right? Well, but then at the end he's doing heroin, right?
Yeah.
So
hey, as humans do,
right? But the point, the thing that I'm getting at is that it seems like he's the main character is like not allowing it to shake him at all, and I'm wondering. I mean, you can put it either way, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But so if you were to rewrite it, it's something that you could push.
Yeah, I mean, definitely going into it, I had different things I kind of wanted to do. At first, I just wanted to tell a story between a person and their hero, whoever that may be. But then later on, I basically when I sat down to write it, I had the image of an old man. A gray beard, in a corner that's really dirty, nasty. The walls are burnt. There are needles in his arm, and he's looking up and smiling with a goofy, dumb face at the person that found him there.
Okay.
So that was the first image that I saw when I sat down to actually try and write it. So then, as I was writing something totally different, I wanted to incorporate that.
Sure.
And I feel that's probably why it feels very disjointed to me.
It's not that disjointed.
Well, it just feels like there's definitely something missing. There is that purpose missing.
Sure,
I find.
Yeah, okay.
Like reading back through it, there isn't much in my mind that is propelling me to read from paragraph to paragraph. Right. Like there isn't a goal. In mind.
One thing is that I felt like the joke at the end, it had a punchline, but it didn't feel like. It felt weak compared to the rest of the story.
Yeah,
it felt like the whole story was leading up to this joke, but it wasn't like thematic to the rest of the story, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's just I had no clue.
Sure, yeah.
He's in rehab and he's talking to him. He makes a joke.
So, I think that's where I'm getting my made up meaning from. Is that this joke seems like he's not changed at all, and he's just like this is someone else's fault. I don't know. I feel like. Because it's at the end, I'm reading into it a lot, which is natural and I think expected and stuff. So
I think that's just me not being so. Excuse me, me not being careful on my part. Also, just not trying to go back and work on it as much as I normally would.
Sure.
I don't know. I feel that overall, it's a mixed bag of ideas. None of them really hit home, but I do feel that I too enjoy what this. Connection between these two people could be or like what it is and
sure.
I like how I guess I presented it, but I would love to go in and just do a lot better. I guess in the simplest terms I would like to fine tune those things and actually come up with a meaning, and then by coming up with that meaning it would propel me to actually make a better ending that actually makes a lot more sense in certain things.
Sure. Brittney, do you have any other things you want to say about the story?
No, I did enjoy it, and I like your writing style a lot. I don't know, I can't really explain it, but I feel like the tone, I don't know, I feel like you have this natural tone.
You are an expert on one tone.
No, but you know how every person has the same whenever you no matter what you write, whether or not you're writing a comedy or a romance, it's always the same kind of style. And I like your style.
Oh, thank you.
I feel like it's kind of
you're a high expert in it.
I'm a high expert.
You're specialized.
Well, okay, granted. You
spec 100% into the noir.
Matisse definitely has a voice.
Oh, definitely.
Thank you.
Tone.
But also the other day, not to defend myself.
I'm just teasing, by the way.
Yeah, I know. But you have said in my scripts it's a different tone.
That's true. Your scripts are much more varying.
Which I don't know how.
I don't know. Well, then again, I've only read 2 or 3 of yours, so...
Yeah. There's 1,000 more.
You've read a lot of scripts. You read a lot.
That's what I do. I mean, if I don't write a lot, then I'm just doomed to be poor.
I feel like even if you write a lot, you still are doomed to be poor. That's just the state that we live in.
But the doom doesn't look as gloom.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I should have wrote about that.
That's right.
Just that phrase, Doom in Full Bloom, which is a great song by American Football.
I don't want to change the subject, but I will say that you saying that, like, changing your major, I am a psychology major right now because I love writing, and I love writing about, like, mental health and, like, productivity and, like, mental wellness. And
you have a blog about that, right?
Yeah, I see myself, like, I write about way too many things. I write about, like, books. I have, like, book reviews. I have, like, guest writers. So, FYI, if you ever want to go on there and, like, write about something, you can. I talk about my books, but I also, like, really, like, just talk about, like, mental health. Like, my post I'm writing for today is all about, like, conquering stress.
Okay.
But, I don't know. I was actually talking with my grandma about this last night. I feel like I'm 100% going to change my major.
Okay.
I don't know what I want to change it to, but now, like, I want to change it to something writing, but, like, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, that's a conversation.
Yeah, we could talk about that off air.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm thinking about just specializing in writing. Yeah. I think that would.
It's totally valid to change your major.
Minoring in, like, psychology or something.
All I'm saying, you should always put all of your eggs in the same basket. Basket.
Okay. All that said, so if you were to rewrite it, what would you change?
If I were to rewrite it, I would start from ground zero. I would first of all figure out fundamentally what is it about.
Yeah.
Where is it going? Where I wanted to end up. I do feel that in the beginning I did have that kind of set out, but the waters were a little bit too murky for me to really charter a path through it. After doing that, I would probably decide exactly the arc of the character, Hogan-wise. What is he about, and what lesson can we take out of his life? And then after that, I'll just start from the very first sentence. I would rewrite it. I'll probably change up the tone totally to something that's a little bit more vivacious.
Okay, sure.
Something that you can really jive with. And I will end it with the same shitty joke.
Okay. Except this time it would mean something.
It would mean something.
Okay, well, let's transition to the next section where we talk about
me. Yeah.
I do that.
Same joke every week.
Every single week. I was about to say that too. I do that every week, and it's always never funny.
Yeah. I feel...
There's just no comfortable way to say, hey, let's talk about me now.
I feel...
And then you never pick it up. You gotta pick up that transition.
With every single last person... I should keep hitting the table. I feel with every single last person that, like, listens, when that joke comes, they do the opposite of laugh.
Yeah. They cringe. They cringe a little bit.
Yeah, it's like,
they go... that was me breathing in and a laughing motion.
It's going to be awesome to listen to.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Okay, so...
so, why'd you write this?
So, the story is called Confession, and it's about a paladin. That's very apparent from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. Although I didn't call it a paladin, because it's on the nose, as you said earlier.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's very World of Warcraft. So I used, like... Well, we'll talk about it later. But,
Cleric.
Nope.
Oh.
But it's going to be pretty obvious what it's about, and when I wrote it, I had a pretty clear image. It was like the first, when I first started thinking about it, like the night before I wrote it, like I had the image and I figured out what the story was about, and then when I sat down to write it, I wrote that story. So it was pretty, not like planned out or anything, but like I knew what it was going to be about.
Mm.
So I don't really know what else I was going to say. I would say about it, but so I'm going to read it now.
All right. This is Matthias Mason reading his magnum opus.
Oh no, someone just submitted the story 8 minutes ago.
Clarification, we cannot read that story.
Yeah, we'll mention that at the end.
We will mention it, but we will also mention that we cannot read it because we're actually all blind.
Yep.
Wouldn't that be awesome if you just woke up one day and couldn't see?
That would be so fun. Okay, I'm going to start reading. So this story is called The Confession. The knight with armor of gold stepped into the confessional. His boots were caked with dust and his armor was streaked with mud. In the gloom of the confessional, his armor didn't shine. His eyes didn't shine. He looked tired. He felt tired. He knelt in the confessional and stared ahead at the icon of a yore, a figure that had once appeared a mother, a sister, a crone, with arms raised in openness. He paused for a long time before he spoke. Forgive me, mother, for I have faltered. A crone's voice answered him, spoken from behind a wall to his right. It wasn't warm, not quite, but it felt like it was open to understanding. Dear son of Oyor, share in your burden and let it melt away. He started. What had he wanted to say? He knew something was wrong, but where to start? How to start? He had to consciously remind himself that he was supposed to share his weakness, that he was not to feel afraid of judgment. The light. I have had trouble feeling it. Of late. Dear son of Ayor, we all miss the mother's embrace, at times. It is no sin to miss the joy of the light in dark times. Yes, but... He swallowed. You misunderstand. It is safe for me to reveal who I am, here? Of course, dear son. I am sworn to silence, outside of the confessional and away from the sacrosanct councils. Thank you, he breathed. I do not say this with hubris, but I am no ordinary son of Ayor. I am a knight servant of the third choir. The people call me a paladin when I walk the streets. I marched in the name of the mother and slew countless monsters. I have seared the flesh of demons with her light and saved villages from his darkness. I have done so much good from her light. I know I have. I know I have, he repeated, softer. You sound like you mean to convince yourself. What are you trying to accept? How is it that I have done so much, yet I feel nothing? I feel nothing, mother. Nothing at all, almost ever. And when I do feel, when I notice what feeling I can have, when I brush my fingers against it, it is but void and despair. Why? The light is to burn away darkness, is it not? Yet I feel a great cloud has blotted out the sun, or a mist, with which I can only feebly bat away with my hands, and hope that it does not choke me. I am so sorry, my son of Ayor. I know it is hard to admit to weakness of the heart, especially for the sons. It does not make you weaker to recognize it, dear son. Please, you have done so much to lift the burdens of others. Speak now, and have your own lightened. Something stirred in his chest at that, only slightly, like a breeze rustling leaves. He took a clear breath, like he did when steeling himself for battle. At first, when I felt this mist, I thought it was merely a weakness within me, a sign that I must devote myself further to my service. I threw myself into battle, joining a quest to destroy the necromancer within the Westerlands. And for a time, it worked. When my blade burned with the light of Ayor, melting through demonic spawn, I felt alive. A patchwork creation of undead, a dozen hands tall, crashed through my squadron, threw me so hard that I was impaled on a branch. And all I felt was a fire alight within me, burning my wound so that I would fight harder. But as soon as the abomination was destroyed, it faded. The clouds rolled in, thicker this time, as if the light had almost burned out. When we reached the necromancer, we fought it, and we destroyed it. It was hard, and... He shut his eyes, breathed out. Some of us died to do it. Who died, Paladin? He squeezed his eyes shut. He could almost see it. There was a boy with us. A page. Just a boy in training. An arrow from an archer. We didn't see it. We were careless. And this death pains you? And this death pains you? No, the knight said. All emotion deserted him. He had nothing in his chest. Nothing in his throat, nothing in his heart. As he spoke, he did not sound saddened, only resigned. No, his death did not pain me. I saw him die, and I did not surge with light. I did not fight harder. I just fought. The boy fell. And then what happened? He could see it now, the green light. The necromancer surging with power, green shadows surging across the room, entering the bodies of the fallen. He rose from the dead. His eyes were filled with poison. A boy of 10 or 12, mother. And what did you do? He stammered. A pressure built behind his eyes. What had he done? What did you do, Paladin? The crone's voice was harsh. I struck him down, and it was like a dam being broken. He took a shuddering breath. Goddess, I struck him down like it was nothing, like he was just a stack of flesh and bone and evil. I watched the light leave his eyes a second time. A boy of 10, Mother. Like nothing. Tears pushed their way to the front and bubbled on his eyes, but they did not spill, and he didn't brush them away. He felt awful. How was this to bring him to the light? But no, he pushed through his doubts and pressed on, pushing against the pressure. I sliced the boy in two and didn't feel a thing for it. I only turned to cut the next undead. I didn't even pay him a thought, not until now. He had been so excited for his first quest. He had brought a doll in knight's armor. And then he was dead, and I couldn't even remember his name. I still can't. What is wrong with me? A door opened beside him, and cloth rustled. The paladin felt thin arms embrace him, hold him tight. He didn't open his eyes. He didn't move. Soft hands brushed the corners of his eyes, and they broke the tension of the tears there, and he felt them wet his cheeks. It is all right. It is all right to falter, to cry, to not feel the light all the time. Let the tears fall where they must, son of Ayor. You are loved all the same. We must cry to make room for the light, for only rain can clear the clouds. There are terrible things in this world, Paladin. Terrible pain and terrible sadness. You are not weak to feel it. Do not bury your pain. Let it out. Only then will the sun rise. Cry, she repeated. He did, and the tears flowed down his cheeks. He relaxed into her arms. He felt terribly sad, but with every wave of tears, he felt lighter. So that's my story.
Absolutely loved how you told the story of a paladin that's filled with so much remorse for his actions that he goes to confess. Because I don't know, like in most games, of course, when we play as a paladin, you're the number one motherfucker that's killing a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, paladins are always the number one good. Yeah, right. I mean, that's their whole thing. The thing of the life.
They can take damage, but I do love. I don't know. I've never really thought about that. How, of course, someone who is ordained by God, who's very holy, would probably feel a lot of remorse, especially when they're slaying a whole bunch of undead and a 10-year-old child. Yeah.
So the original idea, and I think this story focuses on it pretty well, is what if a paladin had depression, more or less? Mm-hmm. Or just like, I mean, they're supposed to be the ultimate good, right? But like a lot of times they're supposed to be stoic, and they're supposed to be completely steadfast. And they don't focus on it that much of like, this is like he feels empty inside because he's, been burying these feelings, right?
Yeah.
So it's the story of depression and a paladin losing the light a little bit. So I don't know, like some of those feelings obviously are coming like straight out from memory, right? The clouds and mist, like that's how I describe my depression when I really feel it, right?
Cloud and mist?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it sucks. It's a big suck. It's like you can't see. I hate pastel colors now.
Really?
Because it looks like it's supposed to be a vibrant color, except there's like a shadow over it, like of something making it gray. It's like having foggy glasses, except for life.
Yeah. Also, like less cool.
Yeah. Wait, are foggy glasses cool?
Yes. When I come out of the freezer at Starbucks and I can't see a thing, I feel like a Cybertronic robot trying to find his charge port.
Anyway, yeah, so I wanted to see what it was like for a heroic character to talk about that. The page was, that word immediately evoked that whole thing for me.
Aren't they spelled differently?
I don't think so. I think it is PAGE.
Oh, I'm thinking page, like
the name.
The name.
Yeah.
Because at Starbucks would be a lot of pages.
Okay.
Yep. But no, I mean, like, overall, just like you, of course, reading it, but me listening to it and reading it myself, again, your voice strikes and it hits home. You have this great way of how the words unfold, and you have a great sense of only adding enough detail to give the reader's mind enough fuel to just fill in the blanks that you may leave. I don't know. I've always gushed over your voice because it's the most author voice I've ever heard. It's really like you look at it from the ultimate point of view of a master storyteller.
Thank you, Jarvis. I don't know if I really deserve all of that, but thanks. Appreciate it. I mean, well, here's a plug. Go read Wild Bo Stories then, because after you read 4 million of his words, you start to copy him.
So this is Wild Bo.
I obviously he's extremely different.
Of course.
But I would say that I probably take a lot of inspiration from his writing.
Yeah, I mean, you have such a great love for it.
Yeah. I mean, I've read a lot of his stuff.
Did you do that thing? I forgot who we were talking about when we were talking about it, but
I don't
copying another artist's style.
Right. It was something that I've been meaning to do for a very long time, and I recommend it, is to find an author that you like and hand copy some passages from them so you can really feel how that writing flows.
Yeah. Definitely.
Don't type it.
But
handwrite it so you can feel how the cadence and the rhythm. I still haven't done that, but I really mean to. I need to just pick out a couple of authors that I really want to do it to.
Jeff Vandermeer.
Okay.
Have you read his books?
I think you've talked about him before.
I'm obsessed with him. If I actually met him, I would just cry. He's some dude who lives in Florida, but he's older dude. But anyways, he's the one who wrote Annihilation, the movie. The movie sucks.
No, it doesn't.
I enjoyed
Not
the
if you
movie.
read the book.
Okay.
Well, of course.
I think it's one of those things
totally
where it's
different mediums.
you can't. It's not. You shouldn't view it as an adaptation. You should view it as inspired by.
I'm not gonna. No spoilers, but I will say that there was no talking dog wolf thing in the book at all.
Okay,
it was merely psychological. Everything
wasn't that part
head.
So rad.
It was so. Okay, now I will. Okay, I was just so mad.
So that's totally
spoilers for Annihilation.
Well, actually, if you guys
so good,
a 3-year-old movie.
Is it? What the fuck? Is it really 3 fucking? No, it's
2 or 3.
2.
Okay,
it cannot be 3.
All I know is that was one of the very first free movie screenings that I saw.
Actually, it might have even been last year.
Nope.
Are you sure?
It's old. It's very old.
Annihilation.
I
think it was either the very January of last year. It was because I remember my friend read the book a long time ago before the movie. I read the book last summer.
Okay.
Well, so going back a bit. Well, real quick, let's to cap this tangent off real quick. There is a book club, a Doof Media book club episode on the book Annihilation. I think I listened to it before. I haven't read the book yet though, so I
need someone else's viewpoint on the book.
Yeah, go listen to it. They analyze these books really, really, really well. Okay. So I'll send it to you afterwards. Yes. And they also did an episode talking about the movie as well. So those are some great episodes. You should listen to those.
Because no one has read Annihilation, or at least if they have, they're I didn't like it that much. I'm let's talk about
it. There's just a lot that you have to
piece together, right?
Yeah, you have to peel back, you have to piece it together.
The book is even harder.
At our university, there's a philosophy class that teaches Annihilation as one of the required textbooks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Anyway, so let's go back.
Hold on. I have one more tangent to tangent. I know we had a lot of tangents, but I have a tangent I want to talk about.
Okay, go ahead.
I didn't talk about your story yet. I'm
I was like,
we have to get back
Brittney
to Matthias.
has to talk about me first.
Yeah.
But on the topic of copying down an artist that you like, I have actually been doing that a little bit.
Oh, really? Yeah.
With Chekhov.
Okay,
because, of course, you have to learn about him in every creative writing / English class, but I just really love what he does and just the way that he describes the characters and certain things. And I've always had kind of an issue with doing third person, only because I like the things that I write to be intimate, and I find that that's a huge benefit when it comes to doing first person.
Okay,
but I've been trying my best copy down his cadence and all that, because I love how he makes just the mundane such a beautiful thing.
Sure.
And I haven't finished, but it's the best experience I could offer on to anyone else. Just being able to step outside of what you know about writing and to look into someone else's view.
Yeah. So, what were we going to talk about, maybe?
Oh, well, I really liked it. I after you read the story, I myself felt a little lighter. I don't know. I really liked it. Because, like, you can take it to, like, so many, like, world examples. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know about y'all, but have y'all ever, like, seen something terrible happen in the news and you find yourself just, like, skimming past it? Mm-hmm. Like 20 people dead. I'm just like, oh, that's sad.
Well, it's because
I feel bad, but like, I don't know them personally. I don't like know, like, it's like a different country, and
you
it's
like
just,
can't build that connection. Yeah.
And I feel like such a terrible person. Like, I should be like crying for them or something, right? Like, I should not. Like, why am I just like scrolling past that and reading like book reviews or something? Like, what's going on? Yeah. So I'm thinking, like, you can take that and then, like, I don't know, like, sometimes, like, my friends will, like, cry about boy problems and I'm like, I don't comfort them. And I'm just, like, staying there awkwardly, like, I should feel more. So I kind of like how it was, like, you know, like a more, like, fantasy interpretation, but I really liked how it's, like, you know, he just, like, why do I not feel this empathy? Right. And it's, like, you know, why am I not, like, happy? Like, why am I not feeling? And it's, like, it's okay.
Yeah, I get really frustrated sometimes with myself when, like, I should be... the most frustrating thing about depression for me is when I know I should be feeling something for whatever, like, either I should be feeling it because if I don't feel anything, that makes me like a bad person, or if like I don't feel something, that means I'm not empathizing correctly or whatever. And I know what it is, right? And I know normally I would be capable of feeling it, but because of depression, I'm not. And that's basically what I wanted. Like, this character is supposed to feel very guilty for not feeling terrible about the fucking kid dying. Yeah. And this story is supposed to be that, like, so I think what I'm trying to do is that, like, using the guilt of not crying, he's able to cry about it. Okay, so by using the extra power of this guilt, using something that maybe he shouldn't be feeling, he can then unlock the crying about the thing that he should have been crying about. I think some stuff I do really want to add in is him talking about pushing the feeling away, or like what actually causes. Because I have some of the chronology a little bit off. Is that he starts being depressed before he sees a kid die? Okay. And I feel like, I mean, not that depression needs a cause, but I feel like...
Well, there's always, like, a link.
I feel like I could have a little bit more talking about that. So, but something about him bearing the feeling, or, like, you know, having to push it away for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. And so, like, in the story, he, like, dives into his work, but it doesn't actually help. It only helps a little bit, but...
Yeah, because I like the angle that you're going at with actually talk about this mental health, especially in a setting that it is very sparse.
Right, that's not what stories are usually about. Right?
Exactly, and yeah, it's very true because I felt that to bring that home, you would have to show the other side when he's not in battle and how it affects his day to day, because depression, of course, isn't defined by one major event. It just follows you wherever you go. It's as the phrase goes, it's a monkey on your shoulder, you know? Okay. And I don't know, I would like to see, like, when he's going out to get groceries, how is this affecting him? When he sees, like, kids playing in the street, where's that guilt lie?
Right. I think in those, like, another place that where the depression feeling is for this character, for others, and for me, is also frustrating, is like when you should be happy, right? And you don't, right? Like, that's a really obvious example. Like, when you think of depression, that's probably what you imagine it. Yeah. But it's other stuff too, right?
Yeah. It's a mixed bag of bad feelings.
Right. So one thing I want to talk about is critiquing myself. Yeah. So, I did get one comment because I actually submitted the story last night. What? Rather than writing the story 1 hour before. Woo! Oof. Oh, God. That's gonna hurt. So, Generous Nat commented on my story, so thank you for that. But they thought that the thin arms hugging the character was the necromancer, which I like for a second there.
What a twist!
Which like reading it, and it was something that during the writing it, I was concerned about, and I just didn't do enough to fix. Like I wasn't clear enough that there is a nun on the other side of the wall that comes through and gives a hug, and it's not the goddess. It's not. It's like I basically in the world building I wanted to reverse it and make it a mother figure and not a father figure. Yeah. So it's a goddess. It's not God, and it's the mother crone and
not the father.
Not the father, the Holy Spirit. Not that it was a directly 1-to-1.
Yeah, but you were subverting that. Expectation.
I just wanted to try that out, and now that I'm thinking about it, I do feel that a female goddess would emphasize, talking about your feelings a little bit more, right? So anyway, I think I wasn't extremely clear on like when I was talking about the goddess and when I was talking about the nun that was there. I should have just used the word nun or some other title other than mother because it's the same title as the mother.
I see that. Well, also, I mean, like thinking into the story, at least when I read it, I didn't get that it was a necromancer for like some reason. I mean, I got that it was probably someone who isn't as ripped as a paladin.
It's probably a lot clearer when I'm reading it, right? Because I'm doing cadences and stuff like that to emphasize that there's a different woman there.
But when you're reading it, it gets all jumbled.
Yeah, it's not exactly super clear. So Jenna's stat was completely correct. Yes. And if I were to go back, I would emphasize that it's a human being there on the other side and it comes through and gives a hug. Because hugs are important. Make you feel better.
Hugs make me nervous.
That's because of the patriarchy, and I'm really sorry about that.
It depends on who hugs you. I don't know. If it's like a close friend and you're like, you need a hug, then it's great. But if it's like a stranger, like an acquaintance, just like, you're like, I'm not feeling good today. I feel sad. And they just kind of walk up and like hug you, and you're just like...
Well, yeah, but it's... Oh. It really does depend on upbringing, and it's something that I think men are really not...
Well, I mean, I was hugged and kissed a lot as a child. I just don't like human contact.
Okay. All right.
No, I don't know. I think it lies in the realm of my own self-consciousness.
Okay.
But that's not important at all. Let's talk about you, Matthias.
It's not that bad to talk about it because it's actually something that, I think about stuff like that all the time. I was trying to connect it to a more universal experience of just being a dude. But like for me, like I didn't... My family's not very touchy-feely, and I feel like we could have benefited from that, but...
That's so right. It's weird. I never hug any male members of my family. I only like, shake their hand or something when I see my grandpa, like, shake his hand, or, like, I give him, like, a little pat. Even my brother, I don't hug my brother. I just kind of, like, pat, or, like, just say, hey, bye, brother. But, like, my sister, I hug her, and I hug my mom. Like, I don't hug my dad. I don't know why that is.
I think that's probably just, like a cultural thing that's divided down.
I think it's a very negative cultural thing.
I think we should. Very negative,
I wish I hug. Like sometimes, I wish I could just go up and hug my dad. But at this point, it'd be weird because I'm 19 and I would hug my dad.
To start now,
I haven't hugged this since I was 5 or something.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, and I don't like it. I mean, like it even feels uncomfortable to say that I want to hug my dad more. Like it sounds weird.
It sounds weird.
But like,
you just hug your mom,
right?
Hold on, bro. You want to hug your dad?
Yeah, it's weird, and I don't like it at all. So that's to finish off this tangent is like that's why
the paladin doesn't like to be hugged.
Well, yes, but the other thing I wanted to say was that like I really, I feel like feminism, right? Men can benefit directly from feminism is what I'm saying. Is that like it's not like a lot of these meninists are like, oh, there should be a movement about us. It's just like, no, the same thing that feminism does, which is like breaking down the barrier between like femininity, like the feminine as a negative thing is like directly beneficial for men too.
Yeah, but
that's my soapbox right there. But.
I think the biggest way is its presentation, because everything that's being said is great, but there is a inherent, and it is definitely cultural, and it is ingrained in most people that identify as male, is that like you have to be tough, you have to be strong, you have to be this, you have to be that. You shouldn't write. I know, like the first time
unless you're an alcoholic.
Unless
and
you're
like
not,
cheat on your wife.
Yeah.
Like,
because I know like a lot of people in my family that are male, and I as a kid I said, I love doing theater and I love writing. They're like, I don't want to talk to you.
Go into business.
Or like, hey, why don't you want to play football? You know,
Right.
the great American pastime.
Right.
I don't know, just cultural things.
Yeah. So we'll table that discussion for a different time.
We're just gonna table
for
it.
when we have stories that are more directly talking about
Which
them.
we're gonna do next week.
Yeah, maybe we will.
Next week we have to write a story that has a defined message about toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Or toxic femininity.
That could be a thing too.
Yeah. I'll say why not.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, it all comes from the patriarchy from both sides, right? Like it all comes from.
I think we should establish the matriarchy.
That's the thing is that we don't want that either. We want no archies at all. That's
so like a homoarchy because we're Homo sapiens.
Okay, that works, I guess.
A sapien.
Homo just means same.
A same.
By itself.
Oh yeah, so we're all just same.
Yeah.
Either way.
Okay, we really got to move on.
Yeah, we're at an hour and 25.
I already described what I was going to be writing. So let's just move on to Brittney's story.
Yeah, Brittney,
I like
what are
your
you
story,
doing?
Matthias. I liked it a lot.
Thank you so much.
It was like wholesome.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
So Brittney, please speed through this because I got to cook the teriyaki noodles.
Okay, I will speed through. So,
I'm kidding.
My story is, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people who submit their stories on here, like, it's very, like, I don't know, like, dark and, like, fantasy-like, which is perfectly fine. I feel like there's, like, a little trend there. I feel like people kind of just tend to go to that. But I don't know. My story is, like, a romance.
No, that's awesome.
It's a little different, so.
You're different by writing more normal.
Like it. And the title.
Is it a rom-com?
No, you'll see. So it's called Yellow Scarf. I kind of just like came up with that last minute because there's a yellow scarf in the story.
That's a good reason to have that name.
Yellow Scarf. So
that is a total valid way to name your stories.
Like, what if I named a yellow scarf and there was a red scarf instead? Like, what would happen?
Ooh, you're subverting expectations.
Okay, wait. And by the way, my name is Brittney. So if you forgot who I was, since I haven't said my name in a while.
They've been listening to this hour-and-a-half podcast. They haven't caught your name.
They forgot my name. Okay, so I used Bury, Page, Worm. I did use Rustic, but I think I'm just going to take it out because there's no purpose for it. I just kind of like added it as like a little adjective, and I was like, I don't really need it. So anyways, I did not post it, so I'm really sorry y'all can't read along with me, but...
It's fine. Yeah. My ears are wide open.
Okay, cool. All right, y'all ready? Mm-hmm. I look at her from the other side of the street. Her hair is short now, a book tucked beneath her right arm, held close to her chest, and a rather large suitcase at her side. She bites her lip, looking down at the wet sidewalk beneath her. She's waiting at the bus stop, and I wonder where she's going on a Monday afternoon. A thick yellow scarf is wrapped around her neck, and she doesn't look the slightest bit cold. In fact, she looks warm, comfortable, standing there beside those strangers at the bus stop, in the chilly winter rain with her book and her suitcase. She looks okay, comfortable, and it equally makes me feel glad and empty, hollow. I think to just 3 months back, when I could walk up to her and hold her close, and she would squeal and smile, and her entire face would light up, and I would kiss her cheek, her neck, and she would let me. I remember seeing her in that coffee shop a few years back, and forgetting how to speak and somehow landing a first date. And I remember when she got me into reading, and we'd go to the bookstore on Monday afternoons after work, and we'd pick up books and skim the pages in the dim corners, our arms draped around each other. I remember when I bought her that yellow scarf for her birthday, how it looked so darling on her and still does. And I remember when I got down on one knee a week from today, and I revealed a simple silver band, and I remember how I remember her freezing, her lips ajar, and I remember her looking at me and not knowing how to say no. And here I am now, watching her stepping onto a bus, running her fingers through her hair, glancing down, her fingers curling tighter around her book. I stuff my hands in my pockets and watch her seat herself near me, and that's when she looks up and she sees me there, in the rain, my hair matted down to my head, the bags beneath my eyes dark and heavy, my beard grown out and messy, and I see her beautiful as ever, water from her hair dripping into her nose, onto her scarf. She waves at me, smiles, and it catches me by surprise. Just as the bus begins to roll away, I manage to smile too. And now we're both smiling at each other until she's out of sight and she's gone. I stand there for a moment longer, still smiling, and I continue walking forward into my new life, my new page. Dun, dun, dun.
Wow.
Really, really well done.
Really?
Last word there.
Honestly, that is such a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
It's a great change of pace. The way that you, first of all, presented it, but also the way that it is written gives me this beautiful light feeling that reminds me of the color pink.
Okay. It's interesting that it's a beautiful light feeling, but it's actually pretty sad. Like it's there's some light at the end for sure.
Yeah, but
it is a sad.
But it's light for my palate.
Okay,
I guess.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, no one dies, and no one's smoking cigarettes in it. So.
But they did break up after being together for a long time after a proposal.
That's awkward.
So,
it seems like life.
I feel like it just had to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it, but I feel like it had to happen.
I think the man did something.
I feel like they're just incompatible.
I think that she just didn't really truly love him. That's my take, and didn't know how to say it. And then he proposed, and she was like,
"Okay,
crap!
I gotta spill the beans.
I have to say it now." And I liked it. I actually added the suitcase part in because I was like, "Where is she going? Why is she taking a bus?" But then I was like, "What if she leaves? Like, what if she's moving away?" And so I don't know. I'm not them. I don't know what's going on, but But I kind of like took it as like, I don't know, like she's leaving, and then he's just walking and just. I don't know, but yeah, I had fun writing this. It literally just started with like, I saw her from the other side of the street, and I'm like, I kept writing.
There are so many different paths you can go from that.
Yeah,
line.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that just happened. So, yeah.
I'm sorry, I zoned out for a bit there.
You're fine. You're fine.
I'm supposed to be thinking of other stuff to say. Yeah, I love the little touches you do to bring out the whole relationship, like the entire history with the little remembrances. I'm struggling to think of the exact context because I don't have a thing to look at.
Yeah.
But
like the yellow scarf that he bought her. And how she was like a reader, and I like how I added like. Sorry, I'm like
no. Of course,
but like I like how it's like her.
So
her hair is short now, like. You know, kind of like symbolic. She cut her hair, you know, what girls kind of do after they break up, and then his bags beneath his eyes, and, you know, he was not sleeping, and
New year, new me.
New year, new me.
I don't know, I just, those little touches.
One really tiny quibble, I will say. So the proposal happened a week ago from the story, okay? That's not enough time for, like, a beard to really get unruly.
That's true.
It's the tiniest.
How big is
Jared's beard grows in like 2 days. It's like there's scuff. There's scruff. So maybe it's like he's just like a clean shaven guy who's like not used to having one at all.
Okay.
So it's like showing.
There's just like so much built-in hair since he always shaves.
It's just a bunch of scruff.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay,
that's trying to get out.
That's different from.
So it's scruff.
He had a beard, and now it's like.
Oof. Well, also, I mean, like, this, like, half of this took a week.
Really?
Yes.
Really? Some guys just grow hair more
Jarvis
than others.
has a capital B beard.
But the thing is, it doesn't do this at
My
all.
dad has that problem.
Audio medium. Doesn't do mustache at all.
So basically, my beard, have you ever, like, what's the best way to, it's like I'm wearing a very odd scarf made of hair, right? And it's just... It's below my on my chin. Yeah, it's a chin strap, but it doesn't reach up to the perch of the lip and connect. It's almost doing that.
On the other end, I would like to quickly describe myself. I'm growing my mustache out, and I'm twirling the ends now because I want to become a Victorian era villain.
Yes.
And I want to be a mad scientist and twirl my evil mustache. Yeah. And I think it's working. I think I'm growing into the character a little bit more every day.
I mean, like, right now, I can definitely see you stealing someone's daughter and ransoming...
Well,
and like tying her to a train track. And yes, you'll never save her, Machiavellian.
That's a evil name for a hero.
I am the Machiavellian.
And he like terrifies people to gain power so he can do good.
A Western Victorian anti-hero named Machiavellian who fights with guns.
Machiavellian is the adjective version of that word. Machiavelli is the guy.
I know.
So you can, okay.
I know.
Okay. Where were we?
I have no idea.
Oh yeah, that was my little quibble that turned into a giant tangent.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I just figured that as a woman writing a man, you would want to know that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah,
Thank you for writing men.
You're welcome. I don't know. I just kind of started. I don't really know how my stories happen. They just do.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, to critique myself, I wish I added more at the end. I just kind of like rushed through that part. The timer went off, and I was like, okay, let me just finish this.
Yeah, but you were writing by hand, so obviously.
Yeah, I didn't have. Yeah, so this was a little bit shorter. But I wish I could kind of like add more expression to her face. Like, I doubt she would just smile. I would imagine that she would kind of just like stare at him and like kind of freeze up like she did at the proposal and stuff, and then she kind of be like.
I thought it was it was going to be like a very
subtle
smile.
thing.
Like
that's how it was. Like she kind of just like smiled, and he kind of like smiled, and like I don't know.
Well, I mean, like when like things like that end, there's never a pretty way on how two people actually part. It just ends up, it just stops. You know, it just stops. Like you see them, it's like, oh,
I like
you
how
never see them again.
I like how he was just like staring at her that whole time too, and she didn't even notice. He was just like. Oh my gosh! Like this, like scruffy, gross
we're doing a lot of
guy.
stuff with our faces right now.
Yeah, we are.
Audio, video.
I forget.
We gotta translate.
Oh no, easy. We're basically gonna put subtitles on it.
You know what we should do? We should just not look at each other at all. We should just stare straight ahead as we talk.
Oh yes, I do enjoy that story.
That we are not communicating with our faces.
We have to have blinders on.
We should put on blindfolds.
That's a good idea.
That's actually a really good idea. Podcast with blindfolds.
Yeah.
It's the same. Yeah, you see what your viewers see.
Nothing.
Darkness.
Doom
in Full Bloom, which is a great song by American Football. It's my second time saying that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like
you do have a good handle on tone. The lightness I think comes through in like ways that you describe the rain and just the weather not being like too bad and
just like drizzly.
Yeah,
is kind of what it was like.
It's not too bad.
Like a winter drizzle, kind of. Like annoying, but not like harsh.
I don't know how to describe this, but just the way that the story unfolded. I know I said that a lot. But I don't know, after reading it, well, not reading it, but listening to it, it kind of felt like we weren't outside of the story, we were in the thick of it. Sure. If that makes sense. How it feels, it has the same feel of intimacy that you get with like other points of views or just like other pieces, but like it feels like you're looking from a like lower angle at these events happening, and you feel hopeless, but you still have that hope that it'll end in a good place and not where you think it might.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm glad y'all enjoyed it.
If you were to rewrite your story, Brittney, I almost said Sterling, Brittney,
that's racist.
What sexist? Yeah, all women look the same. Can you imagine like someone actually being like male blind or woman blind? Like
yeah, all women look the same to me. Black, white.
Yeah. The whole half of humanity looks exactly the same.
Actually, women make up more than half.
You're right. Well, is it the whole planet or just United States?
The whole planet.
Huh.
There's so many women out there, dude.
Anyway, if you were to rewrite your story, what would you change?
I don't know. I like how it starts off with him like looking at her like that. There's like, wait, why is he just staring at this girl? And it kind of just goes to flashbacks. I would probably just make it longer. I would probably add more to their relationship.
Very common answer, yeah.
Yeah, I would just add fluff it up a little more and add more, like try to evoke a little more emotion, like not make it sadder, but like just make it like seeing that their relationship was so good and that he was so sure that she was going to say yes and then she said no. And kind of like,
that
and maybe touch on the reasons of why.
Yeah, kind of like, yeah.
You don't have to like spell it out, but just like...
just a reason.
I tried doing that and like her like reaction, how she just like froze and didn't know how to say it. Like she probably just seems like the type of person to me who has like confrontation issues and has probably been feeling this way for a long time.
Yeah.
Loves him as a person, but can't figure out how to be like, I don't want to end up with you.
Yeah.
Like you're not the guy for me, but I do love you. So it's that. Like, yeah, that actually happens a lot. And that's why people will date for like 3 years and then just like, sorry, bud. Actually, no.
Yeah. All right. Okay, let's move on to listener submitted story section.
Listeners, you did a great job.
He's
today.
pointing at the microphone.
listeners,
audio medium.
I know it's an audio medium, but I can see them.
Less comments, but that's okay. I think we had a similar amount of stories. We just need that interaction, you know? It's funny because I look on the first story submitted, and it has like 8 or 9 comments, which is wonderful. And then I looked at some of the later ones and not so much. But also I think people submitted a little later this time. Yeah.
And also that definitely does make sense because all other people that are coming in to post their stories are naturally going to see the very first story that is there. Yeah. So they're going to read it and they might comment on it.
Which is why I've made it so it sorts by new. Yes. And so you'll see the newest story. That way it consistently gets updated and we get more comments on the newer stuff.
It's too bad that there isn't like a random option.
Yeah, I don't know if there is. That's a good question.
Yeah. That'd be nice just to randomize all of them so that whichever one you fall on is the one you fall on.
Right. Okay, so what's the first story we're going to talk about?
First story we're going
to talk about stories by, let's say the names, that way people aren't holding their breath waiting for their
So, the stories we're going to talk about this week are from Ace of Sword, Shin 7, Zorg Lord, and Generous Gnat.
And also Nihil Supernome.
Yeah.
So just real... Well, I guess we could just talk about each individual as we go.
Back to back.
So first, let's go Ace of Swords. I think... so Ace of Sword this is their first time submitting, which is very cool. So thank you for joining us, Ace of Sword. Really glad.
Also, question: is your Reddit name a reference to the Motorhead song Ace of Spades?
For some reason, I don't think that's the case.
See, I have hope that it is because that's a great.
You have hope with a lot of things.
Yeah, and I'm always disappointed.
God damn. And also, I want to point out, of course, that Zorglord is Ruben from the Media MD and Deep Impact podcasts. And basically, all of the ones that we rolled had like 3 or 4 like previous submissions, and they hadn't been talked about in a while, except for Ace of Swords. So, and this was their first time, so they just got very lucky. So I'm glad it turned out that way. It felt like a very fair roll.
Yeah,
which is funny.
Some might even say a critical roll.
So, Ace of Sword wrote a story called Smoke, and it has an old beggar going through the streets, receives some kindness from a guard woman, and he eats some bread that she throws him, and with that, he runs back home to his spell book, and we get signs that he is a magic user, and he writes in his book the inspiration that this warm feeling of the bread has given him. And he like burns it. It's some very cool like descriptive world building. Yeah. With like he's writing with a nail, and the nail like burns it into the pages. Anyway, the stuff happens, and the slums where the beggar lives starts burning down, and at the same time he like feels like an inspiration of this fire. He goes home, and we cut, and the guard woman finds his hut, like one of the last things standing, but he gets killed by the smoke. And finds him holding the book, and the last pages have the word conflagration, and I took that as meaning that like he's just written the spell for conflagration, this inspiration of the flames. Oh wow! So I think that the story is mainly, its focus is on this really incredible world building and how it meant so much to this old beggar.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely my favorite part about it is that in every single last line you get another piece of what this world is about, and just the way that it kind of works within itself. Actually, looking at the piece, there is one part that as I was reading this great story, I was like, that's odd. It's just one part that is redacted. And when you press on it, it says 30 minutes, which I thought was very interesting. That, we do as writers sometimes go over our time limit because we love doing what we're doing so much. So I think, I'm not saying don't do it, but I think it is interesting that they chose to omit the point to where they ran out of time.
Huh? Well, they didn't omit it.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Yeah,
I used the word completely wrong. Yeah.
So just to be clear, Ace of Sword went over the time limit, but they marked exactly where on the story that they went over, and it was about like 3/4 of the way through. So it's not that big a deal to stretch a time limit one way or another. It's totally like it just you're not going to time it exactly, so you always finish it exactly at 30 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the idea of them just I'm just gonna let you know. Like this is where it is. I'm still gonna finish the story because a story like this deserves a fitting end. But this is why I ran out of time.
It'll be interesting to see when someone writes for 30 minutes and then goes over, but they don't add at the end. They add stuff to the beginning because I do that sometimes.
I do too.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go on to the next story. So thank you for submitting Ace of Sword, and I hope that we can see you again in the subreddit.
Yes.
So the next story is by
Shin 7. Oh,
I'd like to go like this.
Oh, okay, I was just going on what's next. Go ahead.
Okay, so Zorglord's story, which is again Ruben from Deep Impact and Media MD. His story is called "Fucked." like not in the sexual way, as in the curse way. Like they got fucked.
Not in the sexual way, but the cursey curse.
Yeah, I can't find it. Hold on.
It was posted 16 hours ago. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 down.
Yeah, that's actually going by hours ago. It's actually a very, very good way of doing that.
Okay.
So this story is very.
It's fun.
I really love this story. So what happens is it starts off with speakers in a stadium. Basically, someone threatening to kill themselves if they open the door that the speaker is speaking from.
Yeah.
Like they've hijacked the announcing speakers, and so they're basically saying that life is worthless, everything's doomed, and the entire stadium audience is just like frozen listening to them. And the character just goes on and on about how everything is fucked, until basically someone takes control of the scoreboard and starts spelling out things and says, "Don't do this."
What happened, D? I think so. Yeah, D. Yeah.
I don't know what the D is. I know that's some. I don't watch enough sports to know what that is.
No, that's his name. I'm pretty sure that's a dude's name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's "Don't do this, D."
Okay. No, I think it's "Don't do this, D." Because it says "Welcome to the party, D" when the guy is talking. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah.
So the sign says what happened, and the character, their response implies that something did happen that makes them feel this way. But they go on about the world is fucked, and they say the line, "It isn't about what happened to me. The world is totally fucked. Might as well try and get some people panicking while there's a chance." And the scoreboard says, "There's a chance?" And then the character says, I guess so. I probably not much of one. And then they say maybe, and then the announcer, the scoreboard says, "Then don't give up." So it's a really beautiful story. I'm sorry I just spoiled it, but I really love that ending, and the hope it gives, and like the flaw in the argument that everything is fucked.
See, I got something totally different.
Really?
From the ending. I thought
that he kills himself.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because
there was only silence from the announcer's box the whole time he's been threatening to kill himself, and then it says don't give up, and then gives up.
I thought that was my initial reaction, but then I thought we don't hear a gunshot, right?
That's so true.
We don't hear any.
That's not the only way to.
Well, yeah, but I'm pretty sure they implied.
What if he took a pill before and like?
Oh, so he already knew.
At the beginning, it says the very first two lines are the speaker's blade of life touches that door. I swear to God, I'm going to pull the trigger.
Yeah. Okay.
So they have a gun. Anyway,
maybe there's a silence.
Yeah. So
no, but yeah, I mean, like overall, my favorite part about this is just a lot of the things that the person in the box is saying, and like how they view this like audience, and just certain things that are happening. And like there are some like really good lines on like what's happening to the world. Like, hey, do you like polar bears? Well, they're fucked too.
Yeah.
You know?
So Ruben talks about how he liked the concept but found it hard to get an actual voice for the speaker. But I feel that he really succeeded, and that the speaker definitely, it sounds like a specific panicking, scared person.
Yeah.
And it's a sentiment that a lot of us feel. So I think it's a well-executed message there.
Yeah, definitely.
I will admit that going to the story, it was really hard for me to understand what was going on. I think just the formatting and like the dialogue and just like the choppy. And I was like, wait, what is he even saying? I had no idea what was going on. And I thought it was like a dystopian, like the world was like actually ending or something.
Okay.
And
yeah, that would have been
I thought like the world was like already ended. I don't know. I was kind of confused. But I actually just like, while they were talking, I reread it. And now I get it. Now I understand. So it took me a little bit to read, I will admit, with like the whole like the choppiness and like the dialogue. I don't know.
I feel like if there was just a sentence at the beginning very clearly saying, from the speakers of the stadium, blared. I didn't really realize that he was talking through the speakers the first time I read it. I just thought this guy was just talking. And then I thought there was like a door and there was like bad people that were going to come in. I don't know what I thought, but I was just I'm like, there's a stadium.
Yeah.
And then like the don't do this D. I'm like, wait, who's this what do you mean? Why?
Yeah. Well,
where did that come from?
At the same time, I can totally see how you could be confused because there aren't like a whole lot of like a whole lot of flags that point you towards the. I mean, okay,
I don't want to say that. I don't want to put this on Brittney, but maybe it's just that
I was just really confused. But
talking over you, Jarvis.
It's one of those. No, you're fine. It's one of those stories where I think you just have to kind of like sit and read,
and not half read.
Yes, which is maybe possibly what I did.
You know. This is definitely one of those stories that you should read.
Okay,
I really like it. Now that I've actually read it, and I understand it.
I feel like if you sit down and like
he sounds funny. Like I want to meet this guy. Yeah. What the heck?
Yeah.
Like I'm like, this guy seems kind of cool.
He's just playing.
Yeah.
And then you hear the
like
gunshot.
when he says like tough crowd. I'm like,
yeah, it's pretty good. So it goes with humor. Yeah. And, okay, we've already spent too much time on this, but very good.
I liked it.
And I hope some point we can have Ruben on the podcast as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go on to Nile Supernums.
Oh, I like this one.
Yeah.
This is the one that I enjoyed.
I
enjoyed all of them, but this I thought about this one.
Yeah.
I found it really hard to read because lately I've been listening to way too much stuck in the sound.
I don't know what that is.
It's a great band. Brother is one of the most popular songs.
Is that why you wanted us to read this story?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the sole reason.
It's
a really good story. But
so pay attention to the
hour.
Pay attention to like the hours. So go to 14, 15 hours. So it's a very, very evocative and intense story. Mm-hmm. And again, these are all spoiler heavy. This discussion is spoiler heavy. So if you want to go read it, please do. It's very
Close your ears, listener.
So we start off with a scene of Caleb and Alexander, two brothers, going into a cabin, and they're still reeling from a loss in their family. Mm-hmm. And Caleb is the older brother. And we see some signs that he's taking care of Alexander, who was kind of like the fuck-up kid, whose father didn't like him as much. Mm-hmm. And Caleb's talking about the inheritance, saying that they kind of come to like a peaceful acceptance that Caleb is getting most of the inheritance because he was the more well-liked son. Mm-hmm. But then we cut to Alexander, the younger brother, being in bed and finding a envelope under his pillow that says, it's a letter from the father saying, Caleb killed me. If you're finding this, Caleb killed me. And you got to burn this letter and run away. But right after that, Caleb comes down the stairs and, let me read the very thing. So Alexander throws the papers in the fire. His brother stood at the bottom of the stairs, his eyes reflecting the orange glow of the fire. So, Caleb said, heaving a sigh and unbuttoning his cuffs. It's gotta be like this, then. Which is so ominous. So very ominous.
He's about to take him out.
Yeah.
No, I like how the ending just kind of ended. Like it didn't, there was no conclusion. It didn't tell you what was going on. But
it's definitely evocative, like we know what's going to happen.
Yeah, at first,
we see the trajectory of the story.
Yeah. I mean, Caleb's already killed once.
We don't know if Alexander's going to get away or not, but we know there's going to be
I want him to.
Impending conflict.
Yeah, well, I thought it was I liked it because it was like, oh, brothers bonding over the loss of their father. And then, nope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lie. Yeah.
I actually have I have a question for the author.
Okay.
That probably is not at all what it is, but, so the names are Caleb and Alex, right?
Could
it could it be a analogy of Cain and Abel?
Yeah. I don't think it like the conflict is 1-to-1, right? Like Cain is the bad one, right? Yeah, Cain didn't kill God, right?
No one killed God.
Cain didn't kill the father, is what I'm saying.
No, but
yeah.
Cain is definitely going to kill Alex.
Yeah, Cain and Abel had a father. It's Adam.
But they're setting it up to where Caleb is going to ruin Alex.
Why do you say it like that?
Because when you get beaten to a pulp, you're ruined.
Is he going to get beaten to a pulp, or is he going to get murdered?
Well, see, he's buttoning up his cuffs, which means he only has his fists.
He's going to murder him.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that the tension at the end in the last scene after we see the envelope is ratcheted up very, very quickly and very effectively. Niall Supernum talks about how I think they're a he, but I'll say they. Fuck, I had something. Shit. Oh yeah, that they wanted to show more of the relationship of the brothers. I feel like they do a good hint of like, hey, they're kind of loving and stuff, but I feel like, yes, they could add like one more really... I think one quick way to do it would be if Caleb like gave something to Alex that like was on... like Caleb's like, oh, he left this to me, but I know it meant more to you, so you can have it.
Yeah.
Right? That would have cemented, oh, Caleb's totally a loving brother.
Yeah.
Right? When really, actually, he shouldn't get half of the stuff.
He's a loving murderer.
Yeah. So I think that would be a quick way to do it. And maybe there could be some, I really don't know how you would do it, but maybe there could be some other hints that like Caleb is actually the evil one. I don't know how you would do it.
I mean, personally, I enjoyed the shocking ending, right?
Yeah.
I do believe setting up Caleb as like, I guess like a really great brother that's like very caring. I feel that would definitely make the ending hit even more.
Yeah, like adding more like background info than like as kids or something, or like wrestling in the yard, like, you know, brothers having some fun, and you know, like he grew up with him because he's his brother.
He killed the father for money. I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's always for money.
Yeah, so let's move on, just because we don't have that much time. So now we're going to talk about Shin 7's story, which is...
Reunion 4 days ago. I just personally love whenever in a story a shovel is used.
Why?
Because I
find it.
I think the rhythmic action of shoveling up dirt, at least in my mind, is therapeutic.
Oh, I thought you were going to say thrilling. You know, it's like...
Thrilling.
Jesus, Jarvis. Okay, so this story is the story of a... it seems to be a reluctant / inexperienced vampire hunter.
Yeah.
As we kind of see that they've prepared to kill this vampire still in its coffin. Like the curtains we're in a vampire mansion.
Yeah.
So the curtains are open. There's dirt everywhere for like almost like a ritual kind of thing. And they've had these stakes prepared, and we see them thrust stakes through the coffin, but through it we feel the like loss of some emotions that the character has for the vampire.
Yeah.
And I kind of got the implication that
they were a thing.
Yeah. My understanding was that he was like her thrall almost. Maybe it was like an actual like emotion. So vampires in myth generally are able to make people either fall in love with them or make them into their servants, like mind controlled. And so I kind of got that feeling that like he felt like a lot of love for her, but I don't know if it was really genuine. I think on some level,
if it was her, vampire trickery,
vampire magic, vampire blood stuff,
vamp magic,
and so he feels like some regret doing it, but it kind of feels like he has to do it as well.
My favorite part about the whole thing is that he shoved 3 stakes.
Yes, just to
make sure.
Yeah, and of different kinds of wood.
Yeah,
so that's all
which is really awesome.
The world building stuff of like how vampires work in this world and the relationship of these characters. Brittney, do you have any comments?
Yeah, once again, I was like forgetting all of them, so I had to read them again.
Yeah, that's fine.
I read it. I like it a lot. So yeah, it seems like what is it? She was a vampire.
Yeah,
and so he like loved her, but it was almost kind of it almost seemed like lust. almost.
It
was more so of, I don't know.
That's what it implied to me, that it was very
he kind of killed her really easily. I don't know. It was kind of like he was sad, but he's also like, he's a vampire.
I
feel that there was a sense of remorse.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I felt a sense of duty with
that. It was remorse.
I think he felt just more bad for killing her rather than like, I'm going to miss her so much.
He didn't feel like he was going to miss her, but he felt like it was loss. Like he was losing someone. Yeah.
Like, darn it, dang it. This is my duty. This is what I gotta do. But 3 stakes, that's a lot.
Yeah. We're going to really make sure.
No, I like the eerie and darkness of it. At the end, he was like, I'm just going to enjoy the day. It's like 1 in the afternoon, like, it's not like dark or anything.
Yeah, he did it in the daylight too, which
is smart.
I think Stuck in Reddit Factory really appreciated that he was going to do it in the daylight.
Yeah.
Because don't fight a vampire at night. It's dumb. Don't do it.
It's hard to see.
And it's
in the day?
And there's no daylight to kill them.
You're right. Unless you do what they do in Blade, and they carry around sticks that have like the same UV rays that kills vampires.
Or you could just wait till daylight, and then you got one from the sun.
Can I quickly talk for about 2 hours on how good Blade 1, 2, and 3 are?
We do not have time for this. So this story is called Expectations, and it's a nice long piece.
Long.
I don't want to say it like that, but I think it's one of the longer pieces of this week. That's more than okay.
Which is honestly perfectly fine. Like if you can crank that many words out in 30 minutes, I commend you, brother.
Yeah. So it has a wizard digging out a corpse of a page, like a training. Like, sorry, I didn't mean to brush your name. As their friend, a crow, is flying around them and talking to them. And then a demon possesses the corpse, and they're about to fight, and the wizard and the crow have to run off. And then the wizard basically nonchalantly sacrifices his crow friend. And it's pretty horrifying.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
So I summarized it pretty quickly because the action in it is pretty quick. But there's actually like a lot of character interaction, and we see a lot of their backgrounds. We see the wizard's motivation before becoming a wizard. The crow pretends that he's always he's intentionally being a crow, but it's actually an accident, like a fucked up spell that he's been a crow the whole time. And then we get revealed that it's actually the wizard's fault that he's a crow this whole time. And we see a lot of interplay.
I feel honestly that's the benefit of it being like such a long thing, is that it's packed with beautiful nuggets of the story, not only what's happening, but also between these different characters and like what it all means. Which is why, like, even though it is a longer piece, I found myself burning through it very quickly because I wanted to know what happens next.
It was a very quick read, very, very easy read. Yeah.
Yeah, it was long but fast.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Like all great things.
And it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun reading about these characters, and I found it a little surprising that the wizard was actually an evil person this whole time. I didn't. Yeah. They weren't. I didn't feel that they were characterized that way for most of the piece, so it came as a surprise to me. Maybe there could have been a little bit more hinting at the wizard being a dick person, horrible person,
or like I don't know if I would consider him evil per se.
I mean,
not
not
like Gandalf the Great, you know.
Gandalf the Great is fantastic. What are you talking about?
No, I'm saying, but he's so like this character. I wouldn't say he isn't evil, but I would not say he is Gandalf the Great.
Well,
analogy.
Grey, by the way. It's Gandalf the Grey.
Hey, who's seen more Lord of the Rings out of us? Okay,
who's read half of Lord of the Rings? Me.
Who can't read?
I read about half of it. I
really?
read the last one, though. I still have to do that.
Were you okay?
It's long. It's good though. Anyway, I just felt that I could have seen a couple little more hints of why he's going to sacrifice. Not why, of him being okay with sacrificing a friend of 3 years.
Yeah, I feel
just just to get away without.
Why was the crow still his friend? After all this, I don't know.
Yeah,
if I was a crow, I'd be like, "Screw you," and I'd go find some crows.
Well, then also
he didn't know that it was his fault. He thought it was his own fault that he accidentally turned himself into a crow, but it was actually the wizard's fault the whole time.
I see.
But yeah. So anything else about the story?
Still though, I'd be really mad if I got turned into a crow.
Yeah.
I'd be really angry.
Yeah. So that is all the time we have to talk about listener submitted stories this week. I wish we had.
They were all really good.
There's so many more I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about Matt's story.
It's a great one.
Not have time at all.
But what we will do, just fill a little bit of time here, is that we're going to shout out all the people that have submitted because you should get some form of credit, even if it's not a whole section about you.
So.
For what you did.
So thank you so much to Ace of Sword, Asgard Zygle, Foraside, Generous Nat, Who42, which is the first time they're submitting, I'm pretty sure, Inconspicuous Germ, Kausubalu V2, Kippos21, Kyrgyzstan, Mordinamail, God damn it, Matt.
Mordinamail.
Niall Supernum, No Goodbye, Petrocan, Sarah Penguin, Shin7, Stuck in Reddit Factory, Sile, also I think it's their first time. I think they said that they were bullied into it, or maybe that was someone else. Thank you for anyone who did the bullying.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing...
It's good to bully your friends to do good things.
Yeah, I think so. For real, though, positive peer pressure is a good thing. And of course, Zorglord for submitting. So if you want to be talked about on the podcast and be shouted out, please write along with us. You can do that at reddit.com/r/do the right thing. Every single time you submit, your chances of being talked about go up.
Exactly. So if you do it 5 times, chances are by that 6th time, hopefully, we'll be able to talk about you a little bit.
As well as if you're a patron, you also have increased chances of getting talked about.
Yeah, by about 7.27%.
Roughly, with some about like plus or minus 100%.
Exactly.
You can to find exactly how we do the drawings. You can go to the subreddit where we have an announcement on that.
It is a lot less sciencey than you would think.
Yes. So if you want to stick around to the end of the podcast to find out the
next week's words
next week. So if you want to hear the words when they come out, you can follow us on Twitter at RightThingCast. You can also send us an email to ask us a question, tell us we're dumb. Please don't do that, actually. That would hurt my feelings. But
I'll find it funny.
Or if you want to submit a story and you don't have a Reddit account, you can send us an email at rightthingcast@gmail.com.
Exactly. We record every Sunday.
Actually, we're announcing a change to the schedule. We probably should have mentioned this at the beginning of the episode.
But basically what the plan is, because me, Matthias, and everyone else that we're going to have on are going to be quite busy throughout the week because school and work takes up a lot of that time.
Yeah. So the current schedule of having it from Sunday, record Sunday, release Wednesday, it's intended so that we have plenty of time to do editing. And the thing is with classes on Mondays and Tuesdays, we don't really have almost any time. Exactly. And also I have multiple clubs on both of those days. Mm-hmm. So I have 4 hours total of free time whatsoever.
And on my hand, if I'm not in class, I'm at work.
Right.
So both of us have collectively, I would say, about 3 hours out of a given day to actually dedicate to anything.
Out of Monday and Tuesday to edit.
Exactly.
So we're going to be moving starting basically the week after next.
Yes.
We're going to be recording, as in the deadline will be on Fridays, and we will be releasing episodes on Mondays. Yeah. So there's going to be a gap week. So let me look at the calendar. 1 second.
But basically, the benefit of all this is not only giving us a little bit less stress when it comes to actually making this show that we all love so much, but also it can help us make sure that the quality of the edit is a lot higher because we'll have so much more time that we can actually use to focus on the edit and fine-tuning certain things.
Right. So episodes starting with next episode, they will be coming out on Friday. The deadlines will be on Fridays, and the episodes will come out on Mondays. So that's not going to start Friday the 12th, but it's going to start Friday the 19th. So there's going to be a very long week. So you guys have extra time to sit down for 30 minutes. Yeah, I don't have that much else to say. So next episode after this one will be coming out the 23rd. And the deadline for next week's words is going to be the 20th
of
September.
Please make sure to have all of your stories in by then so we can read all of your great stories and talk about the ones that are picked, or as many as we possibly can on the pod.
Yeah, you guys will have no excuse starting next week.
No excuse whatsoever.
So, what else do we have to talk about?
I mean,
Brittney, you should
plug yourself.
How can we find you online?
Well, I have a blog/author website at www.brittneychristinabooks.com, and it's spelled Brittney, and then Christina with a K. So so.
And what books have you written?
My books are Forsaken and 50 Days. Forsaken is more, I would say they're both psychological thrillers. Forsaken's more fantasy and more dream-like, while 50 Days is more mystery and sci-fi. So they're like similar genres, but they're like different themes going on, if that makes any sense. So you can find them there. They're available on Amazon for purchase. Woohoo! And there's my website. If you want to like contact me, my Instagram is best. It's the same thing as my website, Brittney Christina Books, BrittneyChristina.
I'll put it in the show notes.
Just because people like they spell my name like BRITANYCH, and they're not going to find me.
Like that.
I want to make this clear. When people spell things out loud, it just does not. It does not work. It becomes an alphabet soup. It just does nothing.
I guess that's true.
So, so thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah. So if you want to check out my works or just like follow me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, Matthias, I think it's high time to plug a couple of Doof media stuff.
Very naturally in the middle of the episode like we were supposed to.
Very naturally. This is not after.
No, this is extremely in the moment. So I actually do have some I wanted to plug. I've actually haven't listened to a couple of the recent episodes because the Doofcast episode was on Mob Psycho 100.
Which is a fantastic show.
Yes, which is why I haven't listened to it, because it's full spoilers discussion, and I want to make sure I enjoy it. But if you have seen Mob Psycho 100, or you don't care about anime spoilers, go listen to it. From what I've heard, it's a very good discussion. And guess what? It's the first anime Scott has ever liked. This goes against all history of the doof, the history of the doof, the secret history of the doof. This is against all of our past.
I know. And also, speaking on anime, I did actually listen to a good portion of their discussion on Paprika, which a lot of people...
Old episode
with I don't know if I talked to you. I've definitely talked to you about it, but Paprika is one of my favorite movies. I really like what they did there. Sadly, though, they didn't necessarily like it, but that's, there are inherent issues with it, especially if you're looking at the plot. But I will say, if you have seen the movie or are just interested in it, the person that made Paprika also made, hopefully I get this right, I think they also made Perfect Blue and Tokyo Godfather, which are two other great movies. I would definitely recommend you to go and listen to them, because, oh my god, I enjoyed listening to it so much. Even if they didn't have very similar views, I just enjoy someone else talking about something that I love dear.
Yeah. And another Doofcast plug, pretty soon they're going to be doing, as part of their, what's it called, Discovering Directors? Something, I forget the exact name, but as part of their series of going into all the Shyamalan movies, they're going to be analyzing Avatar The Last Airbender, the movie.
Nice.
Pretty soon.
That should be fun.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. One huge thing is that the Doof media is about, I love this, right? It's about something we love. But sometimes I do just want to see some vitriol.
I know. I mean, that movie has gotten like a lot of flack for obvious issues, but at the same time, I feel that some of those issues should be talked about a little bit more. I feel that is a movie that is worth analyzing.
I do want to hear some level heads going over it, and that's, if anything, that's definitely what we're going to get with Scott and Matt watching it. So
please go and check out those episodes. Check out everything
coming
else
to a theater near you.
Yeah, because Doof is not only our partner company, but at the same time they make top tier content that we can only dream and wish to one day reach.
I recommend these things as a fan. I've said this before, but I listened to Doof Media for 2 years before we joined. So
and I've been listening for 10 years. So
Jarvis has to be beat at every turn. So, back to your regular scheduled program.
Yes, goodbye.
So let's find out next week's words.
Which are, drumroll please, move, unused, abaft, and erase, abaft.
Okay,
A-B-A-F-T.
What did I just tell you? So moved, as in like, is it move?
Move.
Like move from one place to another.
One move. Unused. Something that has not been used.
Don't use it.
Abaft. I don't know.
Abaft. So you said A-B-A-F-T?
I'm going to look up the definition.
That's a good idea.
Abaft.
What's the final
meaning.
Word? What's the final word?
Okay. So, abaft is an adverb in or behind the stern of a ship.
Okay.
Nearer the stern than behind. What?
I love this.
And the final word is... I lost my page.
There's a listener out there that just...
Erase, right?
Erase.
Erase.
That word's weird.
Erase. But you can say erased, erasing, eraser.
Okay, so abaft on the ship, there was
I don't think you're using that.
Abaft of the ship. It's an adverb, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was running abaft of the ship, okay, when I tripped and fell into a bunch of erasers because someone hadn't moved them.
Okay.
What's the other word?
Unused.
And even though they were completely unused. So I fell off the ship and I drowned.
Okay.
The end.
I have the perfect one.
Uh-huh.
Move! A man yelled at me. Guns blasting in the air. I had one health potion left.
Okay.
One unused. I threw it to my friend that was abaft the ship.
Okay.
He grabbed it, opened it, and drank it, erasing the potion within. He grew to be a mighty warrior and destroyed our enemies.
I love when I when I eat something and I erase it from existence by eating it. That's my favorite. Brittney, do you have a take?
Do you have a hot take?
I have no idea.
Spit some straight bars right now.
I wish I could erase the past.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Before you knew Abaft.
While I was abaft the ship, I guess.
We're really creative with this word.
Is that the only way you can say it?
Yeah, what else can you do?
No. Okay, I know what it is. This is prophesized. I foresaw this. This is the word that we're going to make a new meaning out of.
Abaft?
Abaft.
I was completely abaft by the fact that he
Perfect.
left the food. No.
He left the food unused.
He left his heart unused, erasing.
We should just have you like trail off as the music like comes in.
Okay. He left his heart unused, erasing.
I think you only have move left.
No, I already used move.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. No, I did. I
You
used
did
erase.
them all.
You've used all.
Did you erase?
So,
I don't think I used move.
yeah.
Okay, say it
I
right
wish
now.
I could move.
That is the
Thank
perfect
you,
story.
and welcome next.
Wait,
we hope
snapping.
you join us next week to
Do the right thing.